Here's a story from a distant star about a planet called Zaponia, where the people cried and shook with fear as the land was dry and the end was near. On an urgent mission to put it right, brave young Ziku, day and night, searched through space till in view came a spinning world of green and blue. Welcome to Ziku's Earth Adventure! And this is where it all begins in a world of science and earthling friends.
And everybody here in Zaponia is eagerly anticipating the announcement of the host city for the 2010 Olympic Sportasia. Everybody's favorite at the moment is Zardon. And insiders say that the dark horse Zuzar in Outer Zugel-Zox might be an unexpected winner. And here it is. The 2010 Olympic Sportasia will be held in... We interrupt this report for a special transmission from Zaponia.
Oh no! Who is going to...
Zaponia! Zaponia! Zaponia's the winner!
We won! We won!
We won! This is wonderful, wonderful news, Zico! Zico? Zikes! What on earth is that?
This floats on top of water. Barley and I are going swimming later.
How is that going to float?
I'm not sure yet. Perhaps this material floats in the air like our Zarponian flying blankets. Perhaps not. It has this nozzle thingy here. Maybe this does something. Float 1, 2, 3. Float.
Great galaxies! That looks like a poison-skinned Lupabog monster from Trillion 9.
Barney says this mattress is like a frog. She says that frogs live in water.
Zillion, what is this creature that lives in the water that this earthling is talking about?
Well, Councillor Zandor, a frog is an amphibian animal. These creatures can live and travel on land and in the water.
Ah! And what about the plants? Are there plants that can live in water?
Yes, plants that live in water or very wet areas are called hydrophytes. Martians, creatures and plants that can live in the water and on land. That is exactly what we need to learn about to save our precious Zarponian highlands that have been flooded for the past 4 years. This will be your mission for today, Ziku.
Zap it to me, Zando!
You explored habitats last time. You mentioned that plants and animals are adapted in special ways to live in different habitats. Could this also be the case for wet places? So Ziku, please find out how are plants adapted to live in wet places and how are animals adapted to live in wet places?
Mission in progress. Ziku out.
Over and out.
I'd better get it right today, Zillion. Our Zarponian highlands and all its creatures are dependent on this mission.
Now calm yourself, Ziku. You will do fine today. Let's start by looking at where on Earth you will find wet habitats.
Okay, Zillion, zap it to me!
South Africa is much more dry than wet. There are, however, some wetlands, inland areas close to streams, lakes, dams, and springs of water. These are places where we find reeds, tall grasses, and other plants that like to live in water or in muddy places close to water. These areas are not necessarily wet all the year round. Many different kinds of animals like to live in these habitats, especially birds. Development has destroyed many wetlands in South Africa. Today, Earthlings are concerned about preserving them and the range of living things they support. They also naturally filter out excess sediment and pollution in water systems. Industry has found wetlands are very valuable for pollution management.
So areas close to the sea are also wetlands?
Very good question. Those areas are called mangroves. Mangroves are special wet habitats close to the sea on the edges of lagoons and rivers. For example, northern KwaZulu-Natal coast. They are affected by the sea and tides. When the tide is high, the ground is covered with salty water. When the tide is out, the ground is exposed. It is usually very hot and humid in these places.
Zalagary! There's lots of animals and plants to find out about.
Well, according to my research, the Botanical Garden is the best place to go if you want to learn more about plants. It's a special place where they grow plants to study them, and people can go and look at the different types of plants. The Walter Sassoon Botanical Garden is quite close if you would like to go to take a look.
Good idea, Zillion. In the meantime, Zoom can get some information about how animals have adapted to live in water or where places like the
Mangroves. I will send Zoom out straight away.
See you soon, Zillion.
See you soon, Zico. Right, Zoom. You heard Zico. Get ready for action. You need to find out about animals that live in the water, so take your underwater sensors. I don't care if you don't like getting wet. Your job is to find information, wherever it might be. See you soon. Hurry up.
Saudi!
Oh, hello, can I help you?
Perhaps you can. I need to find out about wet habitats and how plants have adapted to living in these habitats.
Oh, yes, that's one of my favorite habitats. I'm Betty. I'm a botanist. Just a fancy name for someone who studies plants and wants to learn more about them.
Saudi, I'm Ziku.
Oh, pleased to meet you, Zico. Well, let's take a look. I'm busy making some notes of the wetland exhibit.
How on earth do plants survive in wet places?
Well, plants that live there are called hydrophytes.
Oh, hydrophytes are plants that grow in water or live in very wet places.
Well done, Zico. It seems like you've done quite a bit of research. But you see, some of the plants that grow on the wetlands floats on the top of the water. It's called waterblommetjies, and it provides food for fish, ducks, as well as other animals. Now, you see the waterblommetjies here? You see those big flat leaves float on the top of the water, and the stems, structures go straight down into the mud.
Zoe, that's not just wet. That's in the middle of a dam.
Well, you know, some wetlands are completely flooded, and some of them are only wet certain parts of the year. Now, here, of course, we have arum lilies, we have reeds, we have papyrus grass, and we find that in wet mud. Sometimes the stems are covered in water, and the seeds are eaten by the birds, and it's used for nesting material by some birds, especially weavers. And you also find that the plants that are planted close to the wetlands are there to provide us as a safe place from predators for birds to roost at night. And it's also used by birds who are there during the day.
How did the
Mangrove.
Oh, yes, the mangroves plant adapt to their habitat.
Well, the mangrove plants adapt to their surroundings, and that's how they survive. The ground here is like very thick mud. It is not like normal soil because it is waterlogged and does not contain any air. Some mangrove plants have snake-like roots above the ground and are adapted to absorb air. At low tide, it looks like they are on stilts. That is why they need to store water like plants that grow in a dry place. They also have thick, leathery leaves to stop water from escaping. Mangrove plants have special ways of dealing with the tides. Sometimes the ground is covered in water. The black mangrove tree has long, thin, sharply pointed seed pods that drop down vertically and sink partly into the wet mud. The roots of these seed pods start to grow within a few hours, so they will not be washed away by the incoming tide. The seeds of other kinds of mangrove plants start to grow on the plant itself. Only when it is bigger and stronger will it become a separate plant. Others have seeds in a pod, for example, coconuts, with a very strong surface that will not break down in salty water. They can be washed away many kilometers by the sea before they find a place where they can take root.
Zoe, this is all very interesting. It's like I'm learning about a whole new planet. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, Zico, and you're welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late. I have a new mission. I have just enough time for a quick swim.
Oh, hey, Ziku. It's a beautiful day for swimming, don't you think?
It certainly is. How did you get yours so fat? I can't get mine to work.
Well, I inflated mine with air.
Air?
Yeah, you know, like with the balloon. I blew it up like this.
Zoinks! So that's where you blow it up, and not a remote activation sensor.
Yes.
And it keeps you afloat?
I'll show you. It's so hot, I can't wait to get in the water.
Okay, let's go. But first, I need to blow up mine and take off my boots.
Okay.
Oh, goodness, Ziku, are you all right?
Yes?
Well, what happened?
Well, Barley and I went swimming, and I got such a fright that I made us disappear. And the only thing I could think about was the wetlands that I had learnt about. And then I made us reappear in a dam in the middle of the botanical gardens.
Well, at least you did end up swimming. Now,
It's not funny, Zillion.
Zippity zoop zoop.
Thanks, Zoob. It must have been amazing to go and film the animals in the water today. By the way, how have the animals adapted to living in wet places?
all right, back to business. Let me get Zoom's footage lined up. There we go. Look at that fish. It's called a banded tilapia fish. It is a small, fast-moving freshwater fish. They are carnivorous and eat tadpoles and mosquito larvae.
What does carnivorous mean?
Carnivorous means that they eat meat. Herbivorous animals eat plants and seeds, and omnivorous animals eat meat and plants.
That would make me omnivorous.
Correct. Now look how this fish is adapted to its environment. It has slimy scales that are waterproof and have gills that help them to take oxygen in from the water they live in. Their fins and shape help them to move through the water quickly. There are a number of predators that like to eat banded tilapia, like the pied kingfisher.
There's that word again. Pre-da-tors. It sounds very scary. What does it mean? Betty the botanist also used it.
Predators hunt and eat other animals.
That's mean.
No, Ziku, it's all part of life on most planets. Now let's go on. Kingfishers like to wait motionless in a place that has a good view of the water. That long beak is the way it is adapted to this environment. When a kingfisher spots a fish, it hovers high above it and takes aim. Suddenly it dives down, dropping like a stone to the surface of the water, where it grabs the fish in its long, pointy beak.
They are very pretty birds. They don't look scary at all.
You see, it's not that bad. Now, the pied kingfisher also uses its beak to burrow a passageway 1 to 2 meters long into a sandbank near the water. At the end of this tunnel, it digs a bigger space. The interior walls of this safe place are lined with fish bones, scales, and other leftovers vomited up after its carnivorous meals. Here it lays eggs and looks after its babies after they have hatched. The African black duck is an omnivore.
Meaning it does eat meat and plants.
Correct. It gets its food by ducking under the water. It eats weeds that grow underwater and also insects, small fish, and crabs. Now look how ducks have adapted to living in water. They have slightly flattened beaks that have a special filtering ability. When they take in food, their beaks sieve out the water and mud, leaving the edible parts to swallow. Ducks have webbed feet that they use underwater to swim fast. When ducks clean or preen or clean their feathers, they coat them with oil that they get from a gland at the base of their tails. This, together with lots of downy feathers, helps to keep them waterproof. The African black duck generally likes to live in pairs. They like flat rock surfaces to rest on and bask in the sun. When it breeds, it makes a nest near the edge of the water that looks like a flat platform of twigs with a lined hollow of leaves and plants.
Those nests don't look very comfortable.
Well, I guess they are, if you are a duck. Now, geese are similar to ducks, but bigger. The Egyptian goose was painted on the wall of ancient Egyptian tombs, and it is the most commonly found goose in Africa. After breeding, a couple remain partners for life.
Just like the black ducks.
That's not all. They also make a nest similar to the African black duck. Sometimes they will even take over a nest made by another bird. As wetlands are not necessarily wet throughout the year, birds fly to other suitable habitats. Ducks and geese can fly thousands of kilometers to find a place to live.
Zoe! It's amazing how animals and plants have adapted to living in a wet habitat.
Xandor calling Ziku. Come in, Ziku.
Howdy, Ziku. How did your mission go today?
Very good. And I made a new friend. She's called Betty the botanist. She knows a lot about plants, and she really helped our mission a lot.
Ah, it's always good to make new earthling friends that can teach us more about their planet. So, what did you learn today?
You will see when you get my report, Counselor.
Well, zap it to me.
I have found the following pieces of information. Mangrove plants have special ways of living in mud and salty water on the edges of lagoons. They have supportive roots above the ground that look like stilts. Some of their seeds can grow roots in the mud in a few hours so that they are not washed away by the tides. Other seeds have a very strong covering so that they can be carried many miles by the sea without rotting. They have thick, leathery leaves so that they don't lose water. Plants that grow in wetlands cannot live in other habitats. They like to float on top of the water, exist half in and half out of the water, or grow in very muddy soil. The plants in wetlands provide food and shelter for many kinds of birds.
Birds have special ways of living in this habitat and finding food. For example, ducks have webbed feet to help them swim fast, cover their feathers with oil to make them more waterproof, sieve the water and mud in their beaks away from the weed and plant matter that they eat. Kingfishers have long, sharp beaks to help them catch fish, and they can dive from above into the water to hunt fish.
Fish have gills to help them breathe and take oxygen from the water. Their bodies are shaped to help them move through the water.
There are certainly a lot of strange and wonderful creatures and plants on this planet, Zico. I'm sure all of this will be of great help to the problem we have with the flooded Zaponian highlands. Well done, Pod Controller. Ziazun, Zico. Over and out.
Over and out.
Prepare to send information. Data drives engaged. Uploading files. Matrix ZZZZZZ. Completing transmission. Upload successful. Over and out.
Zoe! Mission accomplished. Ziazoon, Zillion. Zigazoozoo.
Good night, good Earth. Good luck, brave Zarponia.